already through because they got 4 points on each day.
We're on Border. When we saw Border, you were very excited about Border. You said in your words,
Border.
I love to analyze Border.
Yeah.
Osagon, it makes a lot of sense. If you are new to sort of watching Border, the best way of sort of describing it is if you used to watch Seeds, it kind of functions in some way similar to Coastline, is that it's paper thin. You'll go into fights, you'll go into executes very, very quickly in multiple different locations. You usually have a lot of different interactions on a side of the map rather than single room spaces.
It's a lot more rush-focused, I feel, more than anything with Border. And it is very, very different to every other map we have in the pool.
In the current pool, yeah.
And I think that's why I like it so much, because it's just chaos. It is chaos. Look at the bans. Also makes a lot of sense in terms of the plants that you can execute for Armory. You're looking towards the top floor. Ying is such a powerful operator on Border. You would not believe with the size of the rooms that you have. With obviously I mentioned before the rushes, the executes you can have. You know, Ying can be used in multiple ways. You think about Sandwich Window. It's great for clearing out Armory. Throw one in towards Archives. You can clear out, lockers area. Really good for those rushes. Even if you've got bathroom tellers, you can roll a Candela through the bathroom drone hole and it covers an entire bomb site. Stuff like that is really potent with the Ying. And being able to ban that out, I think it's a very wise decision coming out from FaZe.
Opening up here with DarkZero leading on their defense, and Vent is actually where we're going to find ourselves to first. There was a couple of different sites they rotated through there, a bit of a discussion and see how they can play against it. A couple of points of curiosity that I really want to see play. One is in the pockets of Soulless and Canadian, because I just really enjoy seeing Soulless. She's been banned a little bit today. She was let through a lot yesterday and did a lot yesterday. The other is in the pockets of Pamba. This map, the synergy of hatches, the location that you can get in the 3 opposite corners and the one big sort of bottom southeast place, you can really cause havoc on a team's drone gain, on a team's intel, because they're really spread out. It's far and apart. Now, it's still Oryx. It's still one of those things where it's a risk, it's a noisy one. But if an Oryx player is feeling themselves, if an Oryx player is feeling the rhythm of the game, I mean, they can be devastated.
Yeah, that T5 SMG is pretty good, isn't it? 1.5x as well on it.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I want to say that looking at the DarkZero lineup, it's aggressive to all accords.
Yeah.
No denial in terms of utility. No Jaegers there, no Wamais are there. So that's one thing that you have to worry about. And I think it's a big risk considering that on Border, you will find a lot more, I think, lenient attack strategies coming out from the attack in terms of very little hard breach. Which, oh wow, look at that. No hard breach at all. A lot of nades, flashbangs are there. Obviously, it's all well and good bringing the utility, but you still have to use it in the correct way. Same way that I said, sure, Siege is a shooter, you still have to hit your shots to, to win.
The pressure starts pretty direct towards the site itself. You'll see a little bit of a swing round from Astro on the opposite side. Soul's going for the second story, the clear towards break. And this is what I sort of talk about of this map is if you're attacking one point, you'll very often still have to get attention, focus paid to the rest of it. There's no clean sweeps. There's no ignoring a corner or a portion of this map because there's not a huge amount to it.
Small map.
Yeah, the space isn't so malleable. You can't do these big stretches extended because if you do, well, you go 2 rooms and you're in an entirely different map itself. The pressure rolls up towards the top. Nobody is currently set in the corner of Armory, but Astro, he's going to see if he can try and find them out face to face.
Yeah, you look at the kind of approach here that we're seeing from FaZe. They're looking to try and execute just into the bomb site. They have Astro lurking above. He misses the kill though on the man who's trying to hold the verticality. In comes the defuse from Bullet. Cyber does find NGR. Astro, he's not looking to go above. He's looking to try and play blow and try and assist his teammate, which is a good play considering the diffusers now went down.
All the attention was focused on that. The run up to the top, the play on the plant inside. They sort of realized, well, nobody's in Armory and nobody's up there, so let's just put this down. Viking, he's able to get one on the back end of Kaveni. The new pickups finding each other pretty quickly either side. Canadian, he's going around with the swing, sees the first engagement, just gets the lock-in, takes a huge amount of damage there with the P90, and the rest of them are going to see if they can try and swing their way in. But with Sky's also pretty injured and Pamba trying to get a rotation, and FaZe kind of comfortable, happy, still with a grenade in pocket and 3 flashes if they really want to be problematic. Well, they don't need it. Sprayed right down the core of the site itself. The corridor gets broken up, the timer is gone, and the first round is FaZe's.
Nobody's home.
Knock, knock.
The lights are on, but there's nobody home.
We'd like to talk to you about this diffuser. Oh, no, we'll just leave it here in the corner.
Yeah, DZ obviously extending towards the top floor. To allow a plant to go down whenever your whole idea is let's just hold above, that means they can't plant. And then for them to plant, something's went wrong. I would probably say that just the lack of information from DZ more than anything. Not as though it would have helped, considering there's a Nuke who's planting, and you can't see her anyway. If there was a Valkyrie, if there was a Maestro, if there was an Echo, that doesn't matter. But still, no, there was no Armory presence. There was what Astro came in top metal. That was it. Whoever is holding above cannot be killed from someone coming top metal. The only way they're dying is if someone goes to sandwich window or someone goes in towards Armory, which nobody was. Weird, very sloppy from DZ to let something as simple as that slip. But then again, this is what I mean with FaZe. For the longest time, look, I have seen this team, whenever they see an opening, they take it. It's my kind of siege. That's why I've been, so attached to them. Because they see an opportunity and they strike with everything that they have, and usually it works.
Yesterday it didn't, and that's the sort of problem that they're
Way to shoot down the analogy.
No, because it's good to notice. Obviously, we want to talk about these long-form players, the fantastic graphic that was provided before, and they talked about it on the desk, Jacob, as well, was highlighting the fact that we have some of those players in this game that have been around forever, that have been on the boards more than anyone else. But we also have new players, and there's going to be a huge amount of pressure on Vitaking, on Gaveni to sort of perform. With FaZe sort of losing yesterday, you look at who's below him, and it's Cyber, it's Bullet, it's Astro, it's these guns that you need, as you said, to pop off confidently. And look at this, Cyber, once again, instantly trying to find himself close towards this engagement, looking over from the top of the rafters. You can see quick swaps on Intel, and Pamba has a little bit of motion in the ocean, but Canadian's the first to suffer a scrape and decides to rotate around underneath. The E1D will pop off. Nobody has been caught on the other side of it, and for now, FaZe, they're just sort of shepherding, forcing the players further back on the Armory side, the more traditional first hold.
Again, FaZe, this is just the part of the map where they're probing, they're looking for the weaknesses. Once they find it, DZ, they're going to have to move really quick to try and fill those holes and try and realize that, hey, we're a little bit weak in this side. That's a good pickback. That's the line. That's kind of the drive, the sixth gear in FaZe's gearbox, where they can just pop it and they can just blitz into the site.
Pamba able to get the rotation back up the center metal stairs as well and find himself towards the side. It's a big bit of motion there that FaZe weren't quite able to sort of cut off at the pass. Gaveni still tucked, holding himself in just in the corner of Fountain. There's the rotation, there's a little bit of safety, but otherwise he's kind of cornered here. You assume once it's through FaZe's guns, the second isn't going to find the same success. The pressure comes round. They obviously do have the flashes. They have one more grenade. They might try and get the bounce. The C4 leads as the drone leads the player. There's a bit of a watch coming through, and Pamba is able to find his second holding the angle, and this is what we talk about with those hatches. They can be so mobile in the hands of a confident player.
He's jumped up the hatch as well. Back into Armory now, so he's always on the move, always making FaZe think twice. A nice long angle shot from Bullet. Gav, is there a need for a peek? Almost loses, and then he will lose himself out. No need to peek, gives himself up, gives the game away, and FaZe are happy enough to get the man advantage back in their favor. 3 versus 2, essentially, because there ain't no way Gav's getting picked up today.
NJR now holding onto the metal stairs. A missed drone. He slips on past, but he doesn't see the head of Astro. And Bullet and Astro get that final sweep up. FaZe, a little bit more resistance and resilience there, especially from, as I said, the Oryx that I really want to see come into their own throughout this map. But 2 rounds in FaZe's favor now.
You have to come back to Gav. Is there a need for the swing? Does he need to go for that? It looks as if FaZe didn't really have an idea that he was in Fountain. They were more focused on the player inside of Archives. If you're going for the swing, at least know it's going to be a guaranteed kill. You're just swinging, oh, let's see if anyone's there. It's an annoyance, and I think it kind of highlights that you cannot give FaZe anything. You make one mistake, FaZe will punish you. That is the caliber of this team. People forget, a year ago, these guys were major champs.
Yep.
You have to give the respect to that team. They've been so consistent for so many years playing at the top level, for a reason.
It's always this sort of structural change as well. One of the things, and I know I'm highlighting the graphics that we had at the beginning of the broadcast, I always double check those, was the sort of rookie lineup, the cool rookie lineup. You have a look at the roles that most of those rookies are playing, pretty much all of them are the young gunners. Pretty much all of them are setting this up, apart from FaZe.
Yeah.
Getting in a sort of new IGL, this close to a tournament, this close to the biggest tournament, after being so close at knocking the door a couple of times throughout the year, a third and a sort of second place. It's that argument of, okay, well, how do we change this game? And how much of FaZe's game does get changed by Vitaking?
Yeah, at the end of the day, FaZe never had an issue in the killing department.
No.
That was never where they... I mean, Cyber has kill record hold in a best of 5. It was never an issue. It was more... it was more just them lacking enough in the tank.
And it takes confidence. It takes confidence to make a change like that when you're so close to success, something that BDS struggled with for a very long time, Cyclops as well. They didn't have a change for 3 years, and FaZe sort of having the rough start and going, well, we need to see what else we can do here. Well, what else can they do? The pressure comes close towards the players tucked on the windows. They've been able to get themselves a little bit more safety, and well, the fight is scrappy, and Gav's going to pull away this time, catch the drone on the way back round, but Break Door has a player flashing over the top. The quick pressure, he leans into the engagement. Pamba's there for some shoulder support, takes the fight out the door, cannot find the second. Cyber just does enough to pick them back up, turns it into a 1-for-1 trade.
Pick though, flashbangs off the board from the Habana. Obviously Habana in its own is gone, so any hard breach, that's going to be neutralized. But for FaZe, I suppose it's an okay trade. You've taken out Pamba, who at the moment is one of 2 players who only has kills.
Well, Cyber is going to keep that pressure going at this point. Puts us into the 4 versus 3. They have the man advantage, and now they have one more. Cyber takes Canadian, the slow creep and the push and the pressure across the top here. Instead of focusing on the site directly as they did the previous time round, they're going for the top floor. Control, grab the players, assume they're going to be watching this more fervently, and take the fight to them. The drone catches the side of Skies. He's just going to get himself back with a little bit more solid around him before he finds himself on the wrong end of a swinging FaZe barrel. But with all the time that they have, FaZe are comfortable. They're more than happy to sort of drone it out, see if they can piece things together. They've got a couple of them stacked up on the side of Armory itself. They can try and swing that if they want, or they could do this, rotate their way underneath and try and force the player.
FaZe have done well with just controlling the game. You know, the aggression, apart from Pamba here or there, hasn't really taken them by surprise. I think they've been very ready for what DZ has thrown at them. I think DZ might just need to rein it back in a little bit more. I'd like to see them probably hunker down with a little bit more, you know, survivability. I'd like to see Castle in the mix for Border. I think it's, if Zami's banned, Border's your kind of go-to, or Castle's your go-to and Border next after that.
There's a rotate coming around above the site itself. We've got Cyber holding onto it. If he wins out this engagement, and he does, suddenly they've lost their top-down support with 30 seconds, and NJR has everything to do here, holding off. Gets the first engagement, they pick up the kit and stop going for the plant itself. The C4 doesn't quite make its passage towards the promised land, and so not much of a surprise, a timeout has been requested by DarkZero.
It's too easy for FaZe at the moment. There's no real weight behind the punches of DZ. I look at it. They're not shooting back, really, are they?
It's a tough start, and it's one of the sort of things. Obviously, as we said, Pamba, he's come in guns blazing, but so has Cyber, so has Bullet, so are these names that weren't quite there yesterday. The fact that the 2 of them ended the series -13, -12 yesterday, and now you have those 2 going, yeah, that's not happening again. It's almost the mental reset that this time out and this series needs to happen to DarkZero.
Yeah. Well, I always think the measure of a great team is, after a loss, how you bounce back.
Yep.
You know, being able to get yourself back on track again. I think BDS is going to be a good example later on to see how that works out for them against Auction. But again, for FaZe, they probably didn't expect to have such a tough game against MA. I think FaZe were massive favourites going into that game. And, you know, for FaZe, for a team who wants to be challenging for the Hammer, 3rd place last year. Don't forget about that. This still the core roster was able to get 3rd.
They're the highest rated team from Last Aside that's here. Obviously, the 2 finalists couldn't quite make it. FaZe are... It's almost like they've got the superfluous hammer. They've got the little invisible hammer that they're like, yeah, we'll look after this for now. But there's never been a true doubt of FaZe ability. If they're on the board for a major, they've been high in people's regards. They've been high in people's esteem. DarkZero, the way they came into the year at Charlotte was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a rough year for DarkZero, but it's been a bit of a rough year for any team that had success on a major stage.
Yeah, I just don't think...
It's been a bit of a curse.
You know, I think for DZ, it's very difficult to shake the feeling off one-hit wonder. Because that is kind of what they are. Let's be honest. They won a major back in May. What have they done since then?
I really want to stoke the fire and be like, you're calling Canadian a one-hit wonder?
No, not Canadian.
I really want the timeline to be Maddie.
Wake up. Wake up.
I know that's not what you're saying, but it is the sort of thing. I opened this series saying I want to see more from DarkZero because we know that there's more. Yesterday they...
Heroic ain't a test, realistically. No offense to Heroic, but they are severely weakened with everything that's happened with them over the past week.
Like bringing in obviously Sloth very last minute. They only really found out a handful of days before that they couldn't really get stuff sorted. You hit the ground running, and against a team like DarkZero that has such gun capability and has unquestionably one of the best IGLs in the world, you really want them to get that solidity, get themselves tied together and put some pressure on. FaZe are going to be a big test. They're always one of the favorites of the group. FaZe bouncing back after a loss. DarkZero have to, in the same way, sort of bounce back from a rough win.
We're good here.
For me, DZ, I think they're probably playing a little bit more safer now. You know, you look at the way that they've positioned themselves. They're not looking to swing. You know, Pamba's probably dead by now. If you go over the last 3 rounds, he's usually dead around this time, but he's still alive now. For FaZe, you just don't want to give them anything. You don't want to give them any kills. You want to put as much pressure on FaZe as you can. And right now, I think they're doing that. I like the fact that they're being able to stay a little bit more reactive. You can see that they're kind of floating around in different areas. They're kind of everywhere at the same time, so they can react to any rush if it happens, and also then have kind of like a 2-pronged attack, which is good to see.
I mean, this is it. You've sort of got Astro knocking on the door down underneath whilst they have a player above in the hatch and CC. They're not too far away from each other.
Exactly.
Canadian isn't too far away from that push as well. You just see him round touch on the corner, but there's Canadian winning out the first fight. He's going to swing into the second here with Pamba at the same time. He's behind you! Astro got 1! Canadian was very quick to react, and they keep the body advantage into their favor. Almost a comedy of errors, but NJR make sure they keep the pace. After the team talk, this is definitely a better way of handling it. DarkZero, they've got themselves spread out more this round. There's not just the sort of solo play and flex on the far side, and because of that, as you said, they're able to swing themselves into these engagements. They're moving against FaZe, a confidence, and that is key.
Cyber. Tricky one now for him. Look at the HP. 1v3. There's
You're right.
Getting stemmed up beside him. And oh, was I right saying it's a tricky one?
Huh?
Did you just say it's right? When I said it was a tricky
No, I said he's to your right.
Oh, I thought you said it's right. I was like, thank you for the support. It is a tricky one. I thought you
It is a tricky one.
Yeah.
A 1 versus 3 is quite tricky, yes.
Thank you.
I don't think I needed to say that.
What were you talking about?
I don't know, it's your point. I was saying there's a player on his right.
Yeah, basically that round for FaZe, if you don't give FaZe an opportunity, they struggle to actually, you know, figure out what to do. And most of the time, they're kind of like, they fall back into the way of, oh, if nothing's happening, someone has to go for like a solo play. Solo plays either work or they don't. You know, it's 50-50. I said, you know, 60% of the time, they work every time.
I mean, it was very close to a tragedy there. It was almost like a pantomime where you're like, he's behind you, as they sort of careen around the corner. It's very...
Did you see how he killed Gav, by the way? He hip-fired him through the wall.
Yeah.
And then he didn't... Oh, yeah, mental.
But that's that sort of growth, and that's what I kind of wanted to... You know, you want to see from any team when you're on the back foot on your defense on Border is lean into what Border offers.
I see a Castle. And I always love Castle on Border. I think a great operator just to add layers. Border is a map for me where it's a massive Jenga tower, where if you take away one part of the map, everything else crumbles around it. And I think Castle just reinforces that up. I think it gives you more of a fallback. It kind of gives you a second stone wall to get in behind.
Especially represented by the bands. Azami and Ossa play into that sort of same mindset as well.
Azami ban Castle's always going to come out.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of trade-off there is they can fill similar roles. Here's something maybe a little bit more pacey. Detention is opened up quite quick. They're looking over the top. Yeah, this is it. They're trying to find that single player. They're just tucked around on the corner. They pull themselves back in. Look at the rotation towards the window behind them, though. They're suddenly going to find themselves with probably 2 layers of pressure either side. The Flores drone opens up the angle there, up towards the stairs. They force the player even further and further around and make them uncomfortable.
How many players have we got upstairs right now for DZ? It looks as if there's 4 of them. They don't have any holes, though. They don't have any vertical holes made for the actual window jump in, which is the only worry for me inside a B-bomb site. There's nothing there.
That's it. Now with that angle open on the bottom of the stairs, they give themselves a little bit more room. You can see they very quickly gone, yeah, I'm under a huge amount of pressure here. NJR pulls himself further and further back. There's the ping on the player. They're going to see if they can try and thread this grenade. There's the E1D to make sure they don't move.
Oh, he missed it. Hit the cabinet.
Oh, yeah, just didn't get the catch. That one is sort of baiting the play. They're expecting a fight. You can see FaZe has rotated their way up top to see if they can limit the players holding off.
Jumped in the window.
Yeah, Gaveni has it on the far end. They're inside the window. Everybody is blind, including our observer right now. But here's Vita King going for the plant as NJR does get caught out finally inside the site. There is so much noise. And Gaveni's making his own, but it's a post-plant situation. Takes the drop on the hatch. Quite a risky move, but you can see FaZe quickly picks up everything and heads their way away. They still have some pressure, some presence either side. One out on the breach. And they're still there. Vita King's able to find out the trade. Souls gets Canadian on the back end. Skies slips his way inside the site, gets the drone that's keeping a bit of an eye on the watch as Pamba gets caught out. And there's one more. FaZe went back to square one, round one, and said, let's get the site down.
DZ, missing out on such a basic thing. I mentioned it before, there's no vertical holes above the window. And I feel like a broken record. If you give FaZe just a weakness in your defense, they will expose that to the highest degree. See the way FaZe operated that? They got the drones in, they were looking above, they were seeing where the vertical holes were. Oh, there's nothing stopping us jumping the window. Straight in, bang! Nothing stopping him. Diffuser goes down. I'm shook beyond belief.
You're shooketh.
I don't understand. Is it too?
It's that sort of
my head.
It's that sort of play and positioning, as you said. The one angle, but you also have to give credit to FaZe to reading.
Well, yeah,
it's not just the
of course.
Sure, they were missing that, but FaZe read that as a weakness and were able to push behind it.
Here's the thing: I don't give FaZe a lot of credit because they always they're so good. It goes without saying. You know what I mean? That's what they do. I've seen it so many times. They're so good at just exposing your weaknesses. I know it may seem a little bit. Oh, I'm not giving FaZe credit. Trust me, I love this team.
You're like glass half full. I'm glass. Oh no, you're. Glass half.
I'm a perfectionist.
You're glass empty. I'm like, oh, this juice is really nice. All right, DarkZero, one more round here. See if you can try and get something else on your defense, your map pick as well. And FaZe, ever the happy to rotate ideas. We now have a Monty in the pockets of Astro.
Where is he? Where's the Monty?
There he is.
Oh, it's an east stairs take. It's going to be a plant behind the Monty or a deep push Monty. Going to be difficult, though, to try and actually go for the Archives plant, considering there's no Ying. Ying is a big operator for this. You know, you look at Army, you look at Archives, very small rooms. One Candela is going to get everyone inside of it. So, in terms of, you know, this actual play, it could be difficult. Maybe they're going to go against that. They're actually going to try and take in towards Office, almost use the Monty as the kind of human drone this time around, so not necessarily used for the plant advantage that you get. It's about the information game.
Gav's got himself in a slightly different angle this time on Fountain, and NJR has the hatch if things get a little bit too spicy, and spice seems to be what FaZe want to serve up right now. A lot of pressure that's coming through the Impact EMP just to make sure that they can get this wall open. It's a dangerous place.
Great.
That will force the hatch drop now, and they've been able to take some control here. Slight difference to the hold on to Fountain as well, as Gav's not going to stick it either. He drops out of there before he gets caught out.
That's brilliant from FaZe. Using the Habana pellets to open up the single wall and sandwich, and using the Monty to block any potential impact trick. That's a great little technique.
Well, they've been able to get some quick work of it, but Bullet gets caught out as well. They lose the sledgehammer, they lose the grenades as well. And
there's a shark in the water.
Please tell me. Okay, I was like, please tell me he saw that.
He's fine.
There was a second, there was a moment where you're like, oh, have they seen it? They've at least been able to catch one here. Canadian had the eyes and had the idea to take it. NJR has rotated himself back into sight. Important, because at the very beginning of this, there was really only one player there on Skies in the back end. And now, as the breach comes through, they just keep offering themselves as a buffer. They sort of keep saying, we're here now, you got to get us. Okay, he's rotated underneath. They can still cause some damage. You got to get us from underneath. They have the impact. They have a C4. They can do some work from there.
That's it. It's not going to happen as long as there's a Solus below.
I mean, that's it.
They're not planting.
Exactly when the kit is going down.
Obviously, they can plant concrete, which you cannot shoot through, which is the only thing you would have to worry about if you're DZ. But then again, it's an easy pre-fire for anyone else who's still remaining inside the site. In comes Astro. He will move towards concrete. He is on the Monty. He could go for the turtle plant behind. Just depends if there's going to be cover. This is a lot of pressure on DZ. I think FaZe are set up to go for what we expect to see. Look at that long rotate from Cyber. He's going all the way around the other side of the map, and now in comes the plant.
Here's the plant, 15 seconds. They're going to try and swing and put the pressure on Canadian. He's open an angle. The C4 is a second too late. Cyber gets one, goes down underneath. NJR gets the trade, but suddenly it's a post-plant situation. The C4 was a split second too late, and Vita King is just on time. Takes care of Gav from the long range on the back of the ballast here, as Pamba's going to see if he can try and rotate and pull the players out of position. They are watching. Oh, they're making the statement they're watching as well. NJR in the meantime goes down. Pamba gets 1.5, forces them into a tricky situation. The fight goes Skies' way. His first and second body when he needed it the most. And what a breath of fresh air DarkZero can breathe. The second round based on the back of a clutch, and some players starting to sharpen.
Look at the reaction from DZ. Do they have an idea what they've just done? And it's just, yeah.
Because they want to do it better.
I mean, at the end of the day, plant should not be getting down.
Yep. That's what they're thinking.
Should never be getting down in that scenario. There needs to be a lot quicker reaction time there. I don't know what he's doing on shielding. In what universe he gives himself up like that as a Monty is beyond me. Pamba was the real savior. Being able to win that engagement on East Stairs, that puts the pressure onto the Habana, can no longer hold that long angle. This is what I mentioned about Jenga inside a border. One piece gets removed, the whole thing goes kaput.
There was about 14 seconds left on the diffuser time as well. If the Monty had just sat on the kit, they would have won.
Don't know why he's on shielding. I don't get it.
But we are sitting in this position of omnipotence where we get everything. There might have been a different call. I mean, he knew he was in an engagement. There's no two ways about that. But still, maybe they were concerned about some other factor. Either way, it leads to the same result.
I have to also... Remember I mentioned I seen Cyber go for a long rotate? I'm trying to think, why has he done that? Because if I'm Cyber and I know the diffuser being planted on concrete, I'm straight up the bus. I'm straight on that vent's window. I don't know what the long rotate idea is.
Did I remember there was a bus on this map for a second? I thought that was just like a phrase.
No,
straight up the bus.
You know the bus.
Yeah, I'm straight up the bus. Yeah. Look at this, Cyber. He's trying to find a fight outside with the P90 from range, but they are not quite there. Yes, it's a statement and an idea, and that's...
Why'd you say yet like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Doing the X Factor, it's time.
So, see what happens. Souls playing the bottom of the east stairs. They have that castled off. The swing round onto the balcony. I mean, it's... What do you think about that?
Right, so this setup we see a few times. You'll see this extension for the armory. You will see teams create the break room rotate. You will see them open up that single wall, and then you have the castle barricade to stop the long corridor kind of swinging, so it stops anyone going over towards the catwalk. This has kind of been a general thing that we're seeing now. This is kind of where the meta's taking us. But yeah, to see that doorway actually castle's a bit surprised, because generally teams would like to keep that just soft, so the defenders can actually use that to challenge onto like potentially an archives rush.
Astro, he's tempted by that window, and if you missed it there was another castle door that's sort of cut off. There it is, just in the corner. That one's been popped open, so it means Souls isn't as safe with a back door as possible, and he definitely isn't. Gav, underneath, gets the take from the slight slip in, and can now rotate away. A pretty clean removal of the player there. A minute 30 gone is obviously the big trade-off. 2
Valcams below, which is an interesting point as well to think about. So I think FaZe have an idea that DZ, they're a team that like to go below. They like to utilize maybe a buck, utilize the nades. DZ, for me, their lineup doesn't scream that. Severe lack of nades has to be said from DZ. They're almost bringing the budget Ying. They've got the 9 flashbangs in pocket.
Fighter King holding the angle, leans into the fight with NJR. There's some pressure that might come down from above, but as he said, no nades, so it's only really drones and intel that can really be fed, and at some point you're going to have to take the rotate and see if you can get down there yourself. A Flores drone, even, is actually what Canadian's sending down to force the player. It's a very scrappy engagement. Pamba's in the window behind him, though. Fighter King will get picked up by the swing round with the skeleton key, and now he's going to see if he can lean into the engagement. No! C4, bullet over the top, make sure that the game was one that was not entirely won by DarkZero. Not a single body was left unfazed. You can still see the Flores drones trying to catch out Astro, but at this point, it's so much time that's still just being forced.
Look at Souls, look at Viking, no cams to be used, no Valkyrie cameras up for them. You would see them flicking through it, so nothing of use in terms of the information game for FaZe. DZ, on the other hand, I'm sure they're going to have a couple of flank drones placed there, but I would be really surprised if any of FaZe want to leave the bomb site and look for the flank. Cyber, they're in a good position, holding top metal. Canadian, not aware of that. Maybe it looks like he was thinking someone was in customs of all places.
I mean, with 20 seconds left, you've got to try and drive yourself back in, regardless of the intel that you think you've got. The pre-fire on the angle, they know that they're in a statement piece. They've pulled themselves round to the side of the site. They're tucked in the corner. The Valkyrie just gets caught out. They thought he was low. He went high. And FaZe, they went out their first defense, 5-2.
Yeah, good defense there from FaZe, really running down the clock. DZ, I think losing that opening pick kind of hindered them a little bit. It slowed the round down quite a bit. And then I think that C4, I think it was great C4, has to be said, from FaZe, being able to pick up that refrag onto Pamba, that one right there. And yeah, from there, not much that we really seen from DZ. There wasn't much of a bite there to really play together. You know, I think they were very separated, weren't they, at stage? You've seen Canadian downstairs, dies, no refrag. Sky's in, pushes 90, dies, no refrag.
It's the sort of trade of things. And, you know, it's border. It can still play itself well to attackers. We've seen that on the other half. There's still a game ahead of DarkZero here to be played. There was good takes, good coordination. They were able to piece together some of these removals of players, but as you said, FaZe, they just had that little bit extra on the trade, and will DZ try and implement something maybe a little bit stricter and sharper?
Question for you. Probably a bit of an impromptu time to, I suppose, start a podcast. You know,
Okay.
What did you think of DZ coming in this competition? Like, realistically?
I mean, it's always tricky to tell because DarkZero, as a roster, I think they've got because of the huge amount of experience they've got, they often perform better in best of threes. I think best of ones isn't where we get the truest taste of this team. They like to, or liked to at least, grow into series. As far as I'm concerned,
What's second map? Bank?
And he goes, yes, it is FaZe's pick of Bank, and then we end on Oregon.
Slight worry for me.
Yeah, go on.
Because that's a really good map for FaZe. You know, that is...
I mean, it's their pick.
That's a map where you adapt, and they are Mr. Adaptables. You know, that's what FaZe are, so...
It'd be weird if they didn't want to.
Oh, dire straits for DZ. I mean, it's even strange DZ going to border considering that they lost to Heroic on this map.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the question mark there, is they think they can sort of
learn from their mistakes.
Learn it and improve it. And that's always the game of it. If you double down on a map, it's, okay, prove us
But then
why.
at that point, then, do you actually think Heroic and FaZe are similar teams? Because I don't.
I think it's impossible to gauge a team with stand-ins this late as to any other team. And apart from other teams with stand-ins, maybe. Okay. Podcast over. Back to the round, a minute 45.
Love a good podcast, me.
Lower engagement pace this time round. DarkZero, they're weighing things up. We can see some destruction done on the opposite end over the top of Office Wall. I think that might have been off Fountain Wall. Even the pressure's coming its way via break. They want to see if they can try and wrest control of the second story first. But fair enough. That's very often how this leans through there. Utilizing the IQ very well. Obviously, the Commando with an extended barrel is one of those guns that can two-hit a 3-speed body shot at the minute. So it's in a very good spot and potentially good hands here. And the catch on those Valkyrie cameras is going to prove continually problematic for the intel of the game of FaZe. As you said, they sort of lost it earlier on last time around.
Yeah, they did. I kind of think you're forced into the IQ pick. If you're DZ, you're losing all your utility. You don't have the flashbangs, you don't have the nades that you'd maybe want to bring in other operators. So just, yeah, Valkyrie forces you into that playstyle, which can be a little bit annoying just in terms of, oh, we need more burn. Oh, we need to be able to clear somebody out of this position. Causes a few hiccups. FaZe, I think they're doing a really good job at not dying, which is a very important thing, I think, for boarders. Just don't give up. Don't let yourself be picked off as easily as what you can. At least if you're going down, take someone with you. And that's exactly what we've seen Souls do.
30 seconds, and they've finally been able to wrest control of the second story, with Astro and Vidaking offering irons down towards the site itself. Skies is slowly creeping the kit just close in and buries it right behind the chassis. A great move, and suddenly you need the other players to start moving their way back in. Canadians offering the cover. They get rid of Astro. Vidaking is just around the corner, but goes for the fight with Canadian on the window. Wins it out. Skies, though, crouching down on the site itself. They're able to just eke the kill with NJR getting one on the back. It's NJR that doubles them down and gets the round.
Brilliant work from Skies. And good information, has to be said, from DZ, being able to probably realize, hey, if we just jump in sight, they are not really in a good position to stop us from doing so. They had hatch control, they had someone outside the window. NGR, massive, being able to hit a kind of backstab area, being able to take the attention away from Skies as he goes for that jump in. FaZe, somebody put a shot on him, but it wasn't enough. And once that diffuser goes down, it's panic station from FaZe.
Yep. You could see, I mean, they still had themselves quite far away from the site and the kit itself. It was well read by DarkZero. As you said, they saw an opportunity and they made sure they could take it. Skies just beelining straight for the one place of safety.
But that's what I love to see from supports. Yeah, you know, I love to see that, being able to just say, I have to do this. If I die, I die. But if it works, I win my team the round.
An important cover coming through from Canadian.
Yeah.
Well, so FaZe.
Good round.
Find ourselves rotating around to Vent instead. They're not going to double down with Barthran. They'll see instead if they can try and get something maybe a little bit more close to home this time round. I think, as I said before in the first round, they were spread out and DarkZero sort of hit every single hurdle. They went, we can clear this hurdle, we can clear this hurdle. By the time you get to the end, you're exhausted.
Out time, yeah.
You've only got a bronze medal. Here, if you just, you know, ignore the hurdles, sprint down to the end, get the kit down, hey, you find some results, and hopefully if you're a FaZe fan, you're sort of going, okay, well, maybe the boys will realize this and pull themselves back closer and put all the hurdles around them and peer out with guns.
I miss your casting. Right, anywho, we'll look at the vents and workshop. generally what you'll see from teams is just an entire upstairs hold. You will try and hold Armory as best as you can. You'll try and deny any access for DZ, trying to get in there, rip open the floor using breaching charges, using the sledge if they can keep them alive, of course that is. I've actually seen quite a few times where, you know, sledge has been being the first opening death. This is not just in this game, but throughout today's games. A couple of teams struggling with that. It's nice from IQ being able to spot out knowing there's a guy in customs, because obviously not only can Sola see people on their gadget, IQ can also see the defenders in theirs. So it's a bit like, what's that meme? It's like that meme where like you, I forget. I'll come.
It's alright. You'll come back.
I'll come back. I'll come back.
What might come back towards DarkZero right now is the 4 C4s that are currently in the pockets of FaZe. Whatever they want to do here, it's a little bit hands off. They're hoping the vertical control will start to potentially fall into DarkZero's. They've got the Valkyrie cams to get ready for the pings. The IQ should find those and make things a little bit less easy. There it is, and it's very important that Gav's doing it from a
pre-play C4? I think it is.
Yeah, this is it. The IQ is really coming into their own right now. They've got it ready on the door. They're going to see if they can try and pop that off on the approach, but they're just not risking it. DarkZero have read the game. They have the perfect operator to try and counter this, and let's see if they get at least one from their fishing.
Nade being cooked, being fired straight at Souls, and it does push him out into Pamba's crossfire. Astro, he's going to be really the only man inside of the site to try and hold it down. NJR actually a bit of a tussle. He gets shot from the vertical that's actually been opened up by himself, I believe. He has a Valkyrie camera there pinging it out, and it will actually be shot now. Good spot from NGR. So again, the information is going to be lacking. I think one Valkyrie camera remaining. You can see Souls on a Valkyrie camera at least. So we know there's something still available for FaZe that they can play against DZ with.
I mean, they put a lot of weight in the idea of their C4 strategy, and now with 30 seconds and not really finding any success on the back of it, they've got to see if they can try and scrape the rest with the hefty guns, waiting for just to drift into an angle. The pings on the players, they're vaguely above us, but to be fair, DarkZero aren't really hiding that. What they need to try and do, though, is see if they can shepherd the players to a pocket of safety, exactly, for Skies to slip his way in and try and get that kit planted once again. He's going to get himself a rotate down towards the main door. There is a player so close round onto that fight, and if he goes uncontested and the kit goes cold, that'll be devastating. The grenade goes through, there's the swing! Cyber and Bullet are able to get one apiece with the kit so far away, and Canadian down upstairs. Cyber pops off with the Solus, and FaZe put themselves onto map point.
Wow, now that was special. That was special. Have to give credit to the Observer. Sino, brilliant catching all of that. It was like a montage reel. Just the POV all the way through. Wow. That was great. Cyber showing his caliber. You know, we mentioned before, one thing that FaZe didn't need to pick up in terms of a rookie was the fragging potential.
Oh, no.
You still have these boys doing it week in, week out. Oh, incredible stuff. DZ at the time, I think the Valkyrie slowed them down so much.
Yeah.
DZ were really worried about losing out on a C4 kill. They tried to play it safe, which you mentioned before, which is good, but playing it safe, it means you're probably not going as fast.
I mean, that's the thing, is what you kind of, if you saw how FaZe lost the round before, the change that needed to be made was, okay, let's put ourselves back in. Time is a factor for DarkZero, and it's a problem that almost sort of changed one of those rounds. It's a problem that came together. Even the push that was, let's beeline towards the site with like 9 players still alive, was in the final 20 seconds, was in the final 15 seconds. There was obviously work done in the round before that, but still, time is the 6th player for the defenders. It is something you can put pressure on, and the best teams will find ways to adapt themselves and against their opponents to put the pressure onto it. Will they do the same here? Slightly different hold. No castle this time around. They don't quite have the big backline bastion at the top of these stairs. Instead, they're going to put themselves somewhere else. Another change? No, we still have no frag grenades on the opposite side.
Yeah, probably is what they're missing realistically, isn't it? There's a couple of positions.
9 flashes, though. You
think a fountain, even the sandwich wall. You know, all positions that you can get naded out from quite easily. No real interest in it from DZ, which is a bit of a shame, but like I mentioned before, they're headlocked into the IQ pick.
Yep.
They can't do much about that. You always think maybe you should have banned the Valk.
If Valk's on the board for border, you just kind of have to play IQ. It's kind of like how Consulate used to function, where if Valk's on the board, you have to have a response for that Valkyrie.
It's not the case of like, you know, IQ in terms of the gadget is bad. It's just he doesn't have like flashes or nades, which is a real big killer. Breach and charge and claymores ain't gonna cut it.
Slightly better gun now, though.
Because you have that on like the supports, like Ace has all that. So why do you need someone else?
Deploying nitro cell.
IQ nades, let's go.
Not again.
Let's go.
Astro. dancing around, and CC as the eyes are kept across. DarkZero are able to get themselves in, putting pressure on the east stairs and the southern balcony about 20 seconds quicker than they did when there was castles and otherwise, but there is now this player playing similar position just above the hatch. They have the Warmidas to buy them some time, but Souls, they suffer the scrapes. In fact, the hatch isn't even open, so at this point they're playing their life, and can they drift away? Surely they don't get out of this. Surely they don't get one out of this as well. They tuck themselves in closer and closer to the fight. The last time they took this player, it was some pressure from the opposite side. Souls is really baiting the engagement. He's able to rotate his way all the way around to the other side of the triple wall, and there's the catch.
Wow.
Pamba.
He won that.
And leads in, gets a very important take, and now they've got to see if they can try and push that 20 seconds back.
FaZe. Again, just that player in sandwich is it's not a nice position to play. Let me tell you that much. You're sentenced there. You are sentenced.
Yeah.
But again, DZ were in the same position last time. They were able to clear out sandwich, but it was the follow-up. It was the follow-through. Being able to get the diffuser down was where they struggled.
Oh, Bullet took a risk. Got the wing and the clip of a player. Sees the drone touching onto the corner and pulls themselves back, removes some of the intel against them. There's a bit of the burn. With how many flashes they have, it's kind of a shame that Warmidas did just catch the last Selma there from the pockets of NGR, but at least they still have some hard breach swing with Skies.
Oh no!
And Gav as the head of Fighter King.
That shield's so important as well, because DZ can't really play against that. They don't have any nades, they don't have anything to destroy the shield. And then we've just seen them give themselves up.
Well, now they're inside the site. Cyber's able to find Canadian there on the AC window. Astro going for the rotate. Bullets trying to watch over the top. They're going to see if they can stick the plant. Look at this super aggressive swing, but the first is Bullets. Skies, he's holding down, hoping the cover comes from NGR. There's the first. Astro's going to double itself as well, but it's a post-plant situation. They're stacked. There's a player stuck in the corner. There's no really where to go, and now a 2 versus 2. But look at the damage done already to Pamba and NGR. They are playing with wisps, and the first goes against them. Astro, he's looking for the second scrape on the final player. Bullet, he's over the top. Pamba gets a huge kill. The flashes come through, buys themselves a second, 20 seconds, and exactly that. The man has the glass if he wants to pop them on, but he's got to play this perfectly. Bullet, he's pretty broken up as well. He's just pre-firing, but Pamba, he's tucked himself in as a player of DarkZero has really driven this round through. There's the throw in, there's another flash, there's the play in the glasses. He's flashed himself. He's going to see if he can hold it at this point. He has no other option. Pamba takes the round.
Woo! Massive! Massive from Pamba!
Dude, the Solus actually fucking dropped and landed on my phone.
Beep.
Oh, what do you say? What a round. That is Border in a nutshell. That is it. Just I don't even have words.
I know, bro. Me too.
Oh.
1 HP and a dream.
FaZe, the shield, why is he, like, they don't have anything to get rid of that shield that they set up inside of Archives looking into Office. They have nothing for that. Why is he swinging? Why is he giving himself up? But all credit DZ, as soon as that kill comes in, they're straight on the ball.
Yep.
They know it's clear. Get in there, get the diffuser down. And it's similar to what we've seen from DZ whenever they attack this customs, or not the customs, the bathroom tellers the last time. They see no weakness, and they're straight in with the diffuse. Immediately in.
64 FaZe, and with DarkZero proven that they're not quite out yet. As you said, the reactivity to the information and the intel that they can put the pressure onto site, it came in the dying throws once again, but maybe we should just expect that with this showdown across the entire board, regardless of where we are at. FaZe, they almost eked it back into their favor. They just missed out on getting that plant. A handful of seconds, maybe even less than that, and it could have been a very different story, but it's the story we have. 2 rounds separate DZ here from OT.
They got the castle in again. Again, I think for FaZe, it's all about the map control, isn't it? That's what they love to do. It is a very strange setup considering the bomb site bathroom tellers. I can't remember last time I seen teams try and hold like armory and like, you know, security for a custom, for a bathroom teller's hold. You know, generally it's you kind of extend in towards vents, you extend in towards customs. You generally leave the top floor alone unless you're looking for like a suicide hold in towards office. But this full extension towards security and armory is a big shock for me. They're trying to hold pretty much the entire map.
Let's see if FaZe can try and, I guess, do a slight difference here to how things went before when they were going for the full map hold, and DarkZero saw an opportunity and took it pretty wholeheartedly. Is anybody in the site right now? The answer's no.
This is where I worry again, because similar to what FaZe were doing to DZ, DZ, if they see an opportunity, they'll also take it. You know, I like the DZ that we've seen in that regard of switching on, knowing exactly what they can and cannot do. Cyber will find Gav. The first pick comes from the Echo. Astro finds another. What's happened for DZ? Looks to be very separated in their approaches. And there's no refrags, there's no follow back, or follow through, should I say, for DZ.
Oh, Pamba takes the opportunity. Invited King is caught sleeping. They now not only have nobody on the site, but, well, they're steadily removing the players around it as well. The fight over the top. FaZe, how are you going to get yourself back into a position where all of the control has kind of already been wrested away from you? The Echo's on the board, sure, but it takes more than just an Echo drone to be able to stop a plant.
They fully quad reinforced the entirety of bathroom wall. I can't remember the last time I've seen a team do this. The reason why it's so strange to see that is essentially once that, you know, kind of workshop control and that wall's being opened up, you have like full site access. You have full site control. So to see that be done here is really confusing, but
they need this vertical back.
The reason why I think it's actually going to work, because it is so outlandish and you don't see it. Are DZ going to be expecting it?
Capcan, Astro, they've crept their way out via break, and Pam was able to find Cyber in the meantime, so it's down to Bullet and Astro to see if they can push this game over the edge and take us into our second map. Their positions are being pinged out. There's a catch on Astro. They pre-fire the fight, but look, 27 seconds, drops their way down, looks deathly for the engagement. They're trying to find it and lead in, but also find their way back into the site. It is just one player left, and on the verticality, an important gunfight, it goes their way. They now know where they are. They can probably get themselves planted on the opposite end. Sky's going for the same place. It's the right time, the right place, and the right location. The drop C4 comes through. The C4 over the top, blinded, doesn't quite get the catch. And we find ourselves in a post-plant 2 versus 1. Bullet. Everything to do here, more flashes, more time wasting, more push and pressure on it. They've got themselves stacked either side, just holding the rotate. Sky's looking towards the door, Canadian's looking towards the little bathroom rotate. He's got to take an engagement either way, and it's awkward. He tried to just shoulder peek and get some angry, but the only one angry right now is probably FaZe, letting that site just slip away from them for the second time.
It's a 5v3 for FaZe, and all of a sudden, 3v2. Kills come back in favor. Obviously, of DZ, I think it was 3 versus 1, wasn't it? At a stage. Question kind of DarkZero about the refrag potential. And FaZe done very similar. No real opportunity to get themselves back into the round. And I think I've been very hard, I think, in terms of teams refragging today. I think that's one thing I picked up on quite a bit. Yeah. Mostly because I think it's for me, it makes it the difference between, you know, a good team and a great team.
Are either of these two great teams?
I think they're good teams.
Okay. I'm just putting you on the spot.
In terms of great,
I'm giving you spicy sound bites.
In terms of great, not yet. Not yet.
Well, let's see if they can prove you wrong. Something quite easy to do. DarkZero, one round away from getting themselves clawed back into overtime, and how this game opened up 4-1. Since then, they've made sure that they can sort of keep pace, and now they've stolen a bit of it. But look at this. We saw a Monty the last time that FaZe attacked, and it wasn't successful. We'll see a Monty in the pocket of Skies here, putting their pressure onto a site that they just eked the plant out. Are we going to see a similar concrete plant, do you think?
I think it comes down a lot to probably where the Warden's going to be positioned, because I think if you want to go for the Archives, if you know a Warden's like really close, you don't want to be going near that. If you know the Warden's like maybe in security, go for it, because he's not home, he's not there to try and deny, you know, the smoke's going in, the plant goes in. So I think there's definitely potential if they can do some good drone spotting and figure out what the weakness is.
They are getting themselves right up to the site instantly here, and this is going to be a 3-2-1 go. The pressure, the break onto the site, they've seen it's open. NJR, he's on sandwich, seeing if he can just hold off the rotate. They're throwing the smokes out, and they're just planting just behind the Monty on the opposite end. You got to do something here. The C4 doesn't quite get the full shake. Canadian's underneath with the buck, and there's a post-plant situation. The spray is gone. Pam is out of there. Canadian, as the buck gets one from underneath as well, just sees the tip. Invited King gets an important fight back. The Monty's stacked up. There's pressure coming from Vents and AC, and now it's just a 1 versus 4. NJR cannot quite make the stick, and they gambled and risked it all, but on FaZe, never bet on red, and they're able to just lock it out and find the first map.
There we go. FaZe finally being able to to clutch up and get that defuse, finally being able to get a retake. We had an inkling that there was maybe going to be some form of concrete plant, and again, I think FaZe showing a good example of, if you need to, let them plant. Use a couple extra seconds just to get yourself set up in position. Bullet and Cyber at the races today, the two players who, in my mind, need to show up for FaZe at the moment. Obviously, they're still dealing with a new player, but if those two are on form, they should be fine.
Well, the form is something that I guess we'll see as we go further into this. It was close, and we'll see if they keep that pace on our next map bank after a quick break.